Welcome to Blushing Phoenix. My name is April. On this channel, we help passionate, creative, and ambitious people who are held back by social hindrances such as blushing, flushing, sweating, social anxiety, all that stuff, overcome through transformative action. You guys, this week was so bizarre. It started off with a lot of intensity in my work. It started off with just feeling like emotional and overwhelmed and all the feelings. I had some constructive conflict with my boss, who I absolutely trust, and I was flushing like crazy. On Monday, I had to work through just a lot of constructive conflict to get to the next place on the journey in my work, and that my body is like, you're not going to be accepted. You're telling the truth. I got a hair in my eye somewhere right here. You are going to be fired. It's crazy. Then on Tuesday, I wound up venting to my friend who also works with me, who I love her as my friend, but I was struggling with working together. And I'm like audio messaging her all this stuff and all these feelings. And I'm like, I really need you to hear this objectively because I need my friend to give me advice and speak back to me. And she shot so straight with me. And where's my phone? Because I have to tell you, it's kind of like when you're saying something to somebody, you think it's a them thing, and then they shoot back something to you, and it's like this. It's like a dart or a spear that like goes out, and then it shoots right back into you. That's what it felt like. It was one of those things where I'm like, yes, I'm sharing this with you as if you're the problem, but she did so kindly and objectively hear what I was saying and wound up saying something back to me that I needed to take me to the next level. Here's what she said. She's like, to me, you're just April. There isn't a work April and a friend April. So I haven't experienced what you're struggling with. It doesn't dilute my respect for you in a work setting. It makes it stronger. I will always work harder for you than for anyone else because you're April. Maybe trying to separate me into two different versions of people is part of the problem. I don't know. I could be totally wrong, but just wanted to share that thought. Sometimes I feel like you assign feelings to the work version of me based on past work me, and it almost feels like the progress that I know you know that I've made is kind of forgotten because you put me back into this work person box. I don't know if that makes sense, but do with it what you will. Haha. It leveled me. It completely leveled me, and it made me realize that I don't just see her as two different versions. I see myself as different versions all the time. Now, don't get this confused with the fact that you show up as different versions of yourself, or we're trying to get to our higher version, or our higher version is talking to us, because I'm going to reference that all the time. I think that's a real thing. But it's feeling like, especially in a workplace, because that's where my corporate trauma has come from, is that you have to split people in half because I have to split myself in half. So I was projecting onto her what is actually a me thing, work April versus real April. And even in an environment where I feel so safe, I should feel so safe, I was having this like setback this week where I was like, okay, we haven't been flushing or blushing a lot lately. Look at these pictures too. It's not even that I'm flushing anymore. I am totally blushing on my face at this point. Like, it's become like this one cheek thing. I don't know what that's all about, but it's a whole new level of redness, which is pretty funny, actually. I showed my husband a picture earlier, and he's like, rosy cheeks. Like, it's truly humorous at this point. But this conversation just completely sent me into that place of healing. You know, when you're going into like that deep dive place of healing, you're super emotional, you're seeing things on a whole new level, and you're trying to talk to people about it, but they are only hearing like the surface of what you're saying. You're like, that's not what I'm saying. It's like a deeper thing. A lot of times when I feel like people aren't hearing what I'm saying, it's because it's not really for me to be talking about yet. It's for me to just continue to process and let it move through my body and my being. So that was Tuesday. And then the thing is too, you know, when you are like messy and you've not been on your best behavior, specifically with my friend, because I was just very straightforward, raw thoughts, whether they were true or not. She took ownership on the parts that were true, and she helped me see myself on the parts that weren't true without her internalizing everything. And I know that that was difficult for her. It's hard to hear stuff about yourself, whether it's true or not. It's just hard to hear it. But we've been friends for a long time, and it was one of those moments where I was just so messy and so vulnerable with her And then so emotional about the fact that she still loved me afterwards. Because what it really is that I don't trust the work version of her because I don't trust anybody at work. And then that made me like open my eyes to the safety of the environment that I'm in, the way people have treated me, the way people have reinforced that they want me to speak and open my mouth and be authentic. And I've been doing that. So it was like this moment that felt like, is this a complete setback? But it's not a setback. Sometimes you have to go backward in order to move forward. And sometimes you just plow forward. And this was one of those moments where it kind of took me backwards. And then it made me feel, honestly, a little embarrassed about the fact that like how I'd lost all this progress. It started making me question things about my identity. It started making me question things about what I say to you guys here on Blushing Phoenix. It just made me feel so wiped out. And then I realized that sometimes you do have to go backwards in order to go forwards. And as much as I believe that you can just go forward as well, there are like these transformative moments where you don't need to go back, you just move on. But we can get so far on our journey that we have to go back and say, there's still something internally that I'm believing, subconsciously, that is making me not move forward. If there is a version inside of me that doesn't believe that I can accomplish this thing, or that I can show up and not be rejected, or I will be rejected, that's just part of life, and then I'm not going to die and life is going to go on one way or the other. That is something that has to be revisited sometimes. And so we don't lose our progress. We're just living our life. I felt so embarrassed and so humbled in the fact that I'm like, I know these things, and yet I am still being driven by these subconscious or unconscious lies or things that used to serve me that just don't serve me anymore. So I had to go back and revisit this version of April, this little girl version of April, or this young adult version of April that kept everything split into two different things so that she could stay safe, and thank her for doing that for me, but also letting her know I don't need her to do that anymore because we don't live that life anymore. So then it was Thursday, I believe. Thursday, I have a new friend who had asked me to go to like this wine and cheese event with her, small exclusive event. And I kind of had this feeling. I was like, all right, it's going to be wine and cheese. It's probably going to be warm in that environment because it's probably going to be about 15 people or so in a small environment. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to flush, but we'll see. We get there, and after like the first drink of wine, I feel my heart rate go up. I feel warm. The sun is setting on like this side of the building. Praise the universe that my back was to that window, because the people on that side of the table, the sun was in their face, all over them. One lady had to put her sunglasses on. That wasn't the best part. Like, that wasn't a good setup, I don't think. But the event was so much fun. And my friend is just like the most magical, beautiful person ever. She's just incredible. I'm going to have her on the channel as a guest, and I can't wait for you guys to meet her. She's just like this, just sparkly. She's just a sparkly, magical human. So as we're having a conversation, I could feel that I was super flushed. And she knows about Blushing Phoenix, and she knows about the whole flushing situation. We've talked about it before. And I just started talking about it. At one point, I was like, I'm so super flushed right now. I could feel it. And I was just talking to her about it. And everything in my body, I felt it, like the fear of her rejecting me, or maybe people at the table were going to be like, what are you doing? You don't belong here. I don't know. It's so irrational. I know that that's not true, but I was in just such a vulnerable space all week that having her sit there with me and continue to talk to me about stuff that didn't have anything to do with blushing or flushing. We were talking about dreams, visions, goals, stuff that's been going on in her life over the past couple of months, things that's been going on in my life over the past couple of months. And I was actually excited about the fact that I was blushing, because it's good to have it happen in real time still, because it gives me an opportunity to tell you freshly things about it, like being at the event and how I was feeling all the feelings. I could feel my body having this response to it. And you guys have heard me say it many times before that I'm like, it's like my mind knows I'm safe, but my body's still freaking out. And it's like, that's still splitting me into two different things. The truth is, I don't feel safe in this environment, and my body does not feel safe in the environment. I can override it by knowing that I'm with somebody who's safe. I'm in a safe place. It's fine, but it doesn't change the fact that my body's still going through that reaction, because it has been conditioned to be that way for so long. And this is all part of the journey. This is all part of living a free life. It's not about getting rid of the redness, like I've said before. It's about showing up regardless. And then as she and I continue to talk, it's like my friend from Tuesday, me being messy and me being like just verbally a wreck, was so kind and graceful to me and loved me regardless. And then sitting there with this friend, and I knew I was super flushed and red and my one cheek was doing the thing that it's doing. And she just didn't care. She just kept talking to me, and we kept having our wine and talking about the wine, and the cheese was phenomenal. Oh my gosh, so good. And it's teaching my body a new story. It's teaching me that I can be in environments with safe people. It teaches me, I don't know if you can see that. This is a little note that I've written to myself. Let's see if it'll focus on it. Yeah, people can be safe. I've lived in a world for so long where people are not safe. And you know what? If I believe that, then when I operate in the world, people are not going to be safe. But people can be safe. I have a lot of safe people around me. And so that is the story that I'm telling myself, and what I'm looking for in the world around me now is that people, they can be safe. They are safe. And that is the result that I'm getting. So that was Thursday, and it was just the conversation we were having. There were things that she said that reinforced things that my friend on Tuesday said, and she knew nothing about the conversation. They don't know each other. It was just one of those things where you know that the universe is talking to you and taking you to that next level in your life. It was crazy. And then what happened after that? Then Saturday, my husband and I went on a date night, and we get out every couple weeks or so for a date night, and we were sitting at a bar having dinner, and it was just a really nice environment. We loved this place, and I could feel the feeling of, would I be flushing? Oh, I have to back up. Sorry, I gotta take you back one. So then on Friday, I led a meeting at work. It's a meeting that I've led numerous times. I'm not nervous about the meeting. It's fine. I love the people. It's a weekly wrap up thing that we do at work with our whole team. And I was super flushed. My cheek got all red, and I was just blushing. And I was looking at myself on the Zoom, and I'm like, what is happening to me this week? This has been like a constant occurrence all week long. And I'm like, my body is just going through something this week. It is wild. I've also had a lot of allergies going on, like where I woke up one day this week and my eyes were so super puffy. And it literally looked like I got beat up in the night. My baby co-sleeps with me and my husband, and I was like, did he beat me up? Like, did he kick me in my face or something? Like, they were like purpley, and like, I don't get bags under my eyes. It was the weirdest situation. Anyway, so it's an allergy thing that's going on, I think, in the new land. So I don't know if that contributed too to some of the, just like a lot of extra flushing. It was just really strange. And it's not so much about trying to figure it out. You guys have heard me talk about this before. It's not so much about trying to figure it out anymore, as opposed to just being like, well, that's interesting. This is interesting that this is happening. But to be honest, it started to feel like, am I going backwards? Because I rarely flush that much anymore. When I do, it's just for like a moment and then it goes away. But this round of flushing has been like super red, full face blushing as well. I mean, not full, it's truly, this cheek gets so hot, and like, I'll show pictures at the end of this video. You'll get to see this. If I haven't inserted them in already, you're gonna see them at the end. But just super red. And then this week is also the week that I've gotten so many messages from people that have told me how much they are feeling encouraged by Blushing Phoenix. They found the channel, they found the Instagram page, and just so much encouragement. So many people have signed up for the summer coaching. My ebook is selling like crazy. Like, it's just so wild that this thing seems to be happening a lot more lately than usual. So anyway, Saturday, I go to dinner with my husband. We're having a couple of drinks. We're eating like food. Of course, I mean, that's what you do, eat food. But it was hot. It was hot food. And I could feel the feeling as if I was flushing, but I knew I wasn't because I was with my husband. And I was telling him, if I was with a friend right now or somebody else, I would be flushing like crazy. Like, I would be so red. I'd have the one cheek thing happening, and I would feel that like that thing happening in my system and in my body, that reaction happening. But I know that that's not happening with you but I feel warm and I feel all the sensations that I would feel if I was flushing, but I'm not turning red. I went to the bathroom and I was just like looking in the mirror at myself and I was like, this is the most bizarre thing. And it tells me that it really is about people and environment. I hope it doesn't pick up the music because then I can't play this, but I'm out with my husband on a date night. I've had drinks, we're talking. I feel like my body heat is up and there's nothing. It just goes to show when you're with someone you trust, the safe environment, your body's not having that same reaction. So I do flush sometimes when I'm with him, but it's more of like just a body reaction. It just goes to show. It's more of feeling like you're going to be rejected and not accepted with the person before you even turn red. So just an observation, okay? And like, yes, I can flush sometimes if it's like hot and the sun is on me, or if I'm eating something spicy, or if I'm out with my husband, I might get like a splotch or something, but it goes away. It is truly about feeling safe with the people. And then when I ask myself, what is it that, like, what am I assigning to the people? Like, there's truly they are going to reject me. I can't trust people to like me. And it feels so shallow of things that I've already overcome. But I just feel like there's something in my body that's wanting to take me back there to just revisit and just make sure that we understand that, number one, we're living, this is a human experience, this is part of living life, and that it's okay, and that you're okay no matter what. But also just to revisit the self-worth part of that and the fear of people not liking me. I'm willing to not be liked, like I'm still gonna show up, but my body is just still giving off this message that you are not safe here. Now, I'm not somebody who was like beat down or like physically or sexually abused or even heavily verbally abused. It's just interesting how our bodies take on these messages to keep us safe. And I just think for me that so much of it was not necessarily when I was younger. Teenage April, I was telling my friend on Thursday this, I love teenage April. She did not give a fuck. And she was just really grounded in who she was. Like just willing to say whatever, willing to do whatever, just free in all that she was. It wasn't until like early 20s April that got into religion and corporate America, those two things at once, I think started to, you look at the environment around you and you start seeing that if I act this way, I don't get a positive response. If I say these things, I don't get a positive response. If I dress this way, I don't get a positive response. So you start to shift and change things to get the validation from the outside world where the authority is so that you can be and you can survive. And so in my young 20s, I took on all of that. And then here I am, 39 years old, just finding my voice again over the past few years, using my voice. Like I said, I've always spoken up when I need to speak up, but it's terrifying. And I don't know that it's ever not terrifying, you know? And I don't know that you shouldn't turn red if you're shivering and shaking and scared, but still willing to speak. So that's why I always say it's not about getting red. I keep saying getting rid of the redness. Getting rid of the redness. I think that's a byproduct of just the healing and the showing up. And there are times where I show up or I go out with friends and I do things, no flushing. Or I have a constructive conflict with people at work, no flushing. And then there are times where I go out with a friend or I am speaking up or I'm having a good time and I'm flushing. It's not so much about trying to figure out why that's happening, but I do think it's an invitation to go in and hear what it has to say, but also listening to it without judgment, meeting those old versions of yourself that were protecting you and spending time with those old versions of yourself to say, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for protecting me. Thank you for, scouring the land around us to make sure that we're okay and that we can survive in this. But I release you from protecting me now because I don't need that anymore. if that makes sense. Does that make sense to you? Anyway, I know that this one's a long one today, but I just feel like there's so much that happened. It's Mother's Day, and I'm about to go hang out with my daughter, but I was like, I gotta go record a video really quick because there's just so much that's on my mind. There's also some really exciting things that are coming. You guys, I can't wait to share all these things with you. We have our summer coaching program going on. Be sure to apply to that if you're interested. I can't remember the pricing right now, but we could do one single session, one at a time, or you could do a 4-week sessions, 4 weeks of sessions that are available to you as well. And if you're interested in that, you can apply at the link below. If you need pricing information, I'm happy to share that with you. Or you can go check out Instagram, blushing_Phoenix, and see all of that there. And then my new ebook is out, which is called Beyond the Blush. I'm so super proud of this book. I hope that you will go check it out if you're looking for more resources to help you along on your journey. So that's in the link in the description box below. I've got a couple of ebooks, but the first one is Understanding Urethrophobia. It's really, truly understanding urethrophobia, understanding what it is. There's some practical tips in there for how you can start your journey, but then Beyond the Blush is really more of like my personal story, more of my essence of writing. If you've been around a while, you know I have a couple of books out, poetry and things of that nature. That one's a memoir, one has poetry in there. But anyway, there are resources available to you. We've got some really exciting things coming to the channel. I'll be sharing that shortly. But in the meantime, you better rise and thrive. And I'll see you on my next video.